Okay, there's two parts of hockey, and the way that it's played to discuss here. Cycling and the neutral zone trap, and they're related. And it's all in the evolution of the way that the game is played. Now I'm going to read quotes from Roger Nielsen, who was a coach for many teams in his life, and Harry Neal, who was a coach and GM of the Vancouver Canucks and became a color guy on CBC. Both smart hockey guys, and both capable of describing this a little better than I can. Roger Nielsen on cycling. Cycling used to be called offensive zone play. The purpose is to test the other team's coverage in the defensive zone. You try to get a guy open, get someone to lose the check, or sneak a defenseman in. Having your defenseman join the cycle has recently become a pretty important part of the game. To execute it properly, you have to get someone following up the puck carrier so you can hand off the puck to him. He can either come in from behind, so the players are actually skating in a circle, or sort of like football with reversals and misdirection plays. Your players have to read each other and know that it's starting so they can jump in. The whole idea of cycling is to make safe passes, so you always put your passes towards the boards. You never turn around and throw it away from the boards into traffic. Hopefully, you have a guy coming out of the cycle to get open, and then you just keep moving it around until someone does. If a guy on the other team reads it and moves in to cut you off, you just put it off the boards. Teams practice cycling quite often today, and you even see players do it on the power play now because it can get a defenseman to chase the cycle, then move the puck and get a quick 3-on-2. So when you see it in the corners and you're seeing them going in circles, you're like, that's the cycle. And it works. And it's part of the way to try to negate the way that the trap works once they're in the defensive zone. Neutral zone trap. Harry Neal. Today's neutral zone trap is a variation of the old one-man forecheck. It's one forechecker for the neutral zone. The Maple Leafs started it in the 20s and 30s, if you can believe that. When I was growing up in the Leaf organization, if you were a wing for the Leafs and had 3 forwards coming down, and you got caught not being in front of one of them, you got sent to Pittsburgh. It was called a one-man forecheck. The media called it Kitty Bar the Door. And the Leafs won Stanley Cups doing it. Executing the one-man forecheck was easier back then because so few wings crossed. It was easy to sort out who your man was. Now it's not so easy. Nielsen. Punch Imlach was one of those coaches who drew lines down the sides of the rink. That was where wings were supposed to go. When he coached in Montreal in the 1970s, Scotty Bowman was one of the first to tell wings something defensively. Different defensively, to lock the middle. I remember watching one game. Bob Gainey was back-checking his man and Scotty was screaming, "The middle! The middle!" A wing used to go back with his man, but Scotty wanted him to come over to the middle of the neutral zone and lock the middle to take away the pass. The defenseman's job became to watch the wide guys. It took the puck carrier's passing option away, and he'd be coming up facing 4 guys. So when you see a guy trying to skate his way through 5 people, it's probably against the trap. But that idea became obsolete. Back then, the defenseman tried to stay up at the blue line and wings came back, so the other team would dump it in the end, and the wing would have to come back and take the puck, making a breakout very difficult. Took 10 years, but the next stage of that strategy was the trap. Not only did you lock the middle, but you deny the puck carrier the red line. Your center has to mirror the movement of the far wing to force the puck carrier towards the boards. The near wing, who is backed off on the 1-on-2, then jumps the puck carrier before center. So when you see somebody dumping it in, you're like, why is he always dumping it in? It's against the trap. Harry Neal. The puck carrier's only options are 1, to beat you in a foot race before you can cut him off at the blue line. 2, chip it off the boards to his wing. Or 3, pass it back into the middle to his center. If he beats you, your wing is there to jump in, so he can't get the blue line to dump it in. If he can't beats you and tries to chip it ahead, that same wing is there to intercept it, and if he tries to pass it back in the middle to his center, and Nielsen finishes with, that can be picked off by the locking wing or the defenseman and lead to the counterattack. I've watched Vegas do this, and I've watched them do it a lot. And where it's different from then until now is in the 90s especially, it brought scoring way down. I think there's a lot of teams scoring goals this way because, and especially on power plays, you'll see 5 forwards or 4 forwards and 1 defenseman. That counterattack is lethal now. Harry Neal. The trap is designed to make the puck carrier think he can make one of those plays, and then he can't make any of them. They get caught in the transition with their guys going to the net, and with 4 guys on the puck going the other way. And then they talk about line matching. And they talk about how that has affected the game as well. And we've seen that. We've seen where a team will decide, okay, they're putting their first line out, we'll play our fourth liners. And there's a diagram of the neutral zone trap. So if you look at it, you'll see that the ones in black are just they're just there to angle off the other players. Your whole neutral zone trap focus is put that down is angling players off. Keep the play to the boards. And there's 2 different ways of playing it, either 1-3-1, so you'll have 1 forechecker, 3 across, and 1 defenseman back just in case, or 1-4. So that's where you have 1 and then 4 across the line. And if you watch when a team's got a 1-goal lead with less than 10 minutes left, they're usually playing the 1-4. So when you hear that watching a hockey game, that's what they're talking about. You got 4 across, usually the red line. Now, coming out of the lockout destroyed season of 2005, they allowed 2 line passes. So it used to be, if you're in your own zone, you can't pass it beyond the red line. You can pass it past the blue line, sure, not past the red line. They took that out. Part of the reason they took that out was to try to break the trap. They could see the trap was strangling creativity in the game and making it so players just didn't have a play. So by allowing you to pass around those 4 players or force those players to play further back, it gives you more room to come out, and it allows for more creative plays. But again, teams are still playing that way. And of course, the forechecker, as I said when I was reading, is there to cut off all the passing lanes. So when you see one guy in and you're like, really, there's one guy in there? His job is simple. Where's that defenseman passing the puck? I have to make sure he doesn't have that play. And there's 4 guys behind me that are also trying to make sure that everybody's covered. And the defenseman looks up the ice and really has nowhere to pass it. And if you make that desperation pass, if as a defenseman you're like, we're down by 1, we have to score, and you make that desperation pass, you look awful. Because you're going to pass the puck, or turn the puck over, or pass it to a player who is really under duress, and that may lead to that turnover, and then it's in the back of your net. What I think has changed with the neutral zone trap from 1995, when New Jersey made it all the rage, until now, is that counterattack. It's that speed in the game, which is so much higher than what it was 20 years ago. And it has meant that the creativity is through the roof. Even though teams are still playing the trap. That counterattack, lethal. And I've watched Vegas play it all year, and I've been like, they're kind of playing a trap out there, but it's different. It looks different than what New Jersey did. They definitely allow more shots. But again, when I'm doing a review and I'm talking about how they kept the shots out to the point and all the shots were from bad angles along the boards, that team's probably playing the trap. And the team they're against doesn't see any other option. They don't have the middle. The middle is completely cut off. You suffocate the middle of the ice, you lock them out to the boards, and you make sure they have nothing to pass to. No one, and that's why, again, if you're watching a game and there's 15 icings in about 10 minutes, you're probably watching a team play the trap. It is so integral to the game now that we don't rage against it like we did 20 years ago because it looked different. And I remember at one point there were fans who said they should make an illegal defense. And I think there were probably some in the league that thought, hey, illegal defense. But unlike basketball, where they're slowly moving up the court and you can go, yeah, that's illegal. The NHL doesn't really have that. You can't do that in the NHL. You can't tell players they're not allowed to stand on a certain spot on the ice. So, anyways, there you go. For anybody who might be trying to picture this and the diagram wasn't very good, I'll link in the description below this video to a GIF that really shows how that works. Just the very basics of when you're coming out. I found it on Wikipedia, so I'll link it in the section or in the description below this video. It may be ugly, thus the Canucks ugly sweater and hat I'm wearing. Sweater, jersey, either. It's the same. It's really the same thing. People need to let that go. But it may be ugly, but it gets the job done. And I really think every team to some extent does cycle and trap. There's cycle, there's trap, and they're both the same thing. Because you're just waiting until somebody else makes that mistake. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. I'll talk to you again soon.